She's a funny old broad. She keeps you guessing.
Well, hello, everybody. This is Angela Durden, or Angela K. Durden for my middle initial. There's a lot of Angela Durdens in the United States. I was very surprised. Anyway, there's only one like me, and I'm here today. The title of this podcast is Hear Me Roar. Now, there was a song by, oh gosh, what was her name? Great singer. I Am Woman, Hear Me Roar. Never did like that song, but we'll get into that. Okay, let's talk about 2 years ago was the 50th anniversary of the Billie Jean King and Bobby Riggs tennis match. And it was, Bobby Riggs went around, he was always trying to, hustle up a dime, a dollar, a couple $1,000, whatever. And he was successful in doing that. And there came a point where he thought, well, a really big hustle would be to become this, woman-hating fella. And he challenged Billie Jean King to a match. She was top-rated female in tennis at the time, if I remember correctly. She was 29, he was 55, and while he was very good at tennis, he was a lot older than her. So everybody thought, well, some thought she would win, some thought he would win, but really it was a toss-up at the time. You just never knew. Well, let me tell you, that was 1973. I was 16 at the time, and this match was playing at the time in my house. I really did not watch a lot of it. I was in and out, this sort of thing. Didn't care. Frankly, didn't understand what was so exciting about it, but obviously some people in my house must have. But let me add to the stage an ESPN, which I've got this particular video linked in the show notes. You'll want to watch the end where, let's see, was the match? It's titled, Was the Match Between Billie Jean King and Bobby Riggs Fixed? There's a lot of evidence that it was. But let's play this little bit right here.
Known for his accurate service game, he missed nearly half of his first serves.
Oh, that first service has been a disaster for him all night.
And double faulted on key points.
And the second serve ball. And it's been a night, I think, that was not expected by most. It is over. Let's watch Bobby Riggs.
Immediately after, if you were a tennis person that knew Bobby Riggs, the first thing that comes to your mind is he threw the match.
So there we have it. The greatest battle of the sexes in the world, and a man threw it. Probably because he had bet against himself, or a lot of people had bet against himself and said he needed to lose so they would make a lot of money. I'm sure that's what it was, because he was all hooked up with the mob and stuff like that. But why am I telling you this? It's because it was at that time that the battle of the sexes began to be politicized. I am woman, hear me roar. I'm too strong to ignore, or whatever the lyrics are. I never liked that song. I never liked the match. I've never liked anything that has to do with the competition based on sex. We females are not males. Now, some of you watching this might be saying, well, duh, Angela, why are you reiterating that? Well, if you haven't been watching society in the last 10 years to see that it finally devolved down to the point that a woman could say she's a man and that she got pregnant, men could get pregnant. This was a real thing. It still is a real thing, although you don't hear much about it anymore since Donald Trump got into office in January of 2025. It goes against all logic. It goes against the entirety of human history. But you know what? Women can do anything, except now it was men could do anything. Men could get pregnant. No, they couldn't. It was women, confused women, wanting to be a man, which is the opposite of what the battle of the sexes was all about. The battle of the sexes was that women were stronger, smarter, faster, whatever, than men. They aren't on a lot of things. They are on some other things. For instance, a woman can go through the pain of childbirth, pop that new thing out, hold it to her breast, let it suckle, and go, I want another one. I can't wait to have another one for, the brother or sister of this one. And the man is on the floor passed out because just watching the whole thing. Well, women can give birth better than men can. They can handle the pain better. They can forget it faster because God made them to give birth. You hook up a man to one of those things that gives electricity and you put it on their stomach so that it hurts their muscles and makes them contract. Well, they scream in pain. They scream in pain, begging for it to go away, and they will never do it again. Women, on the other hand, as soon as the baby's born, they're like, I want another one. Now, if you have a C-section, it may take you longer to come to that, but I had a C-section with my first one, and I swore I was never going to go through that surgery again. But at the end of 2 years, I was like, well, she really does need a sibling to play with. And my husband says, but don't you remember the surgery? Yeah, it wasn't that bad. Well, it was that bad, but and I didn't have any more. But the battle of the sexes has led to men, biological males, in women's locker rooms in high school, undressing in their full nudity in front of the girls and getting little stiffies, let's just be blunt about it, because they're looking at women while they got their little pigtails right here and saying, I'm a girl. You see how horrible this thing is? Billie Jean King, if I remember correctly, she was all for the women's empowerment. Even she couldn't have thought. There's no way she could have thought that it was going to end up like it has. Well, we're coming back around to some logic and some thought. As I get older, it happens to everybody, the ability to pick up heavy loads, haul stuff up and down the stairs to my condo, it gets less. It takes more energy. It hurts more. I have to figure out other ways of getting heavy loads up and down without me just hauling it and sticking on my shoulder that I used to do 5 years ago, no problem. Now I have to figure it out other ways. And every now and then, if there's a man walking by, I'll say, excuse me, can I borrow your man muscles for a minute, please? I'm having a hard time getting this up the stairs. And they're like, oh, yeah, sure, no problem. And they put down whatever it is they got, if they have anything, walk over and poof, pick it up and trot up the stairs. I never could trot on my best day up the stairs with a heavy load. But they can, because they are biomechanically different from me. Females are not made that way. Males are made that way. Females are made a different way than men. Not better, not worse, just different. So this whole battle of the sexes has always aggravated me. And you know, my husband, who eventually became an ex-husband after 32 years of marriage, he never could understand that I was not competing. He was a very smart person. I did not grow up learning a lot of the things that he knew, that he was taught growing up from his father, who's brilliant. They were both brilliant. I wanted to learn. So, how do you start a lawnmower? I did not know. He would take it as a personal affront, thinking I was trying to, because I wanted to learn how to start a lawnmower and mow the grass, that I was competing with him, saying he couldn't do these things. No, I like doing stuff like that. I actually do like mowing the grass. I like working out in the yard. I like learning how to build things. I like helping him as he worked on cars. I liked that, but it was a contest with him, and he thought it was with me, and it wasn't. Well, you know, he had been indoctrinated quite well from the radical feminists that were saying that men weren't as good as women in everything. That wasn't what I was doing. And I think actually there's probably a lot of women that their mates or their workmates, you know, or their spouses or whatever, think they're competing when really they just want to learn. And there's nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with that at all. So anyway, the reason I'm bringing that up is because of two things. One is, as you know, I'm a publisher. You see blueroombooks.com there. And the latest book from one of my authors is by a man who, in April 2025, he will be 94 years old. 94. But he wrote a book because he wanted to talk about the modern day Renaissance man and that it was a spiritual odyssey. And his name is Joshua H. Batchelder. We will get to that book in a minute. In the meantime, let me show you what's going on in the political realm now. Let's see. I hit the wrong button. I'm going to show you two bits and pieces of some videos. Let's do this one. This happened just recently, and Gutfeld chimed in on it. Let's play that.
Message to young men that you should suppress every masculine urge.
I think that our culture sends a message to young men that you should suppress every masculine urge. You should try to cast aside your family. You should try to suppress what makes you a young man in the first place. And I think that my message to young men is don't allow this broken culture to send you a message that you're a bad person because you're a man, because you like to tell a joke, because you like to have a beer with your friends, or because you're competitive.
So this was J.D. Vance, the Vice President of the United States, on this 8th day of March, 2025. And he's correct. And I think that's coming back, and that's a balance in the this male-female thing that makes the entire world go round. Now, the next video, hilarious. It was Yeah, there we go. I have to get it on the stage. So this happened at CPAC, and it was hilarious. Watch it.
We've got one more surprise in case this wasn't enough. I'm going to let Elon do it. Who else is here?
Well, President Milei has a gift for me.
Javier Milei from Argentina. You guys know who that is, right? Why don't we bring him out?
Yeah. This is the chainsaw for bureaucracy. Chainsaw!
That's perfect.
All right.
I love it. Mr. President, thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Nice to meet you.
Oh, wow. I laughed. I've watched that several times because it's boys being boys. I actually do like chainsaws. I bought myself an electric one. It was great stuff. But the reason I'm showing you that is because both of these things, Vance talking about young men, don't let people tell you that you're worthless, that you're weak, that you're whatever, it's wrong to be what you are. Don't let them do it. Has the left, the Marxists of this world, the Democrats that don't know they're Marxist, poor things, the radical feminists who are Marxist, the social justice warriors who are Marxist. It's Marxism that's trying to take over. But behind Marxism, of course, is Satan. Satan's the one, he's the one with all the evil ideas, and he gets people to do it, and they don't even know they're a dupe, but they are. So we've got this this mentality of male female that was starting to come back, and this is where we're going to bring in Joshua Batchelder's book. Joshua had been he'd been writing memoirs, not published memoirs for his family. And he divided his life up into various quarters, like quarters of a game, football game, you know how that goes. And he would tell the story of from the time he was born till he was 20, and then from 21 up to 40, and then from 40 to whatever. So then he said he was in his fifth quarter, which was over 90, and he had more to say. Things were becoming clearer to him. And so we were always meeting for lunch or breakfast and having these long conversations. And he said, I realized a woman told me some years back that I was a Renaissance man. And he said, I didn't understand it at the time, but I realized she was correct. He was a Renaissance man. Well, what's a Renaissance man? If you're in Europe or the UK, it might be Renaissance. I love to say it, Renaissance. But what is a Renaissance man? Well, it's somebody who is interested in and learns about a wide variety of subjects, delves into them, tries to figure them out, maybe even brings them further. Josh was one of those. He was handwriting analysis. He got interested in that some years back. He was in his late 60s, I think. Yeah, maybe early 60s. He got interested. in handwriting analysis. What does it mean? How does it work? Blah, blah, blah. And he did a lot of study on it. Well, next thing you know, he is writing a book on a new way of doing it fast to help people to understand things. So in 90 seconds, he can do this thing. He boiled it all down, and it would give you an overview of you as a person. And it became widely used. And then you can go into a more in-depth one later if the person wants. That they may be getting all they need on the quick one. But if they want to go into it, they can have a longer, more in-depth session with him. He also brought into it something called, there's a Joseph Pesci, a doctor in California, who, using the idea of the mandalas, having people draw a wheel, just a wheel, their version of a wheel. And he came out with a system. Joshua heard about it. Joshua said, I think we can marry this with the handwriting analysis, which they ended up working together to marry those two disciplines together, where in a very quick fashion, you could find out all you needed to know about this person's personality, so that you could then begin to have a more constructive conversation with them. Saved hours and hours and hours of wasted therapy time, because the person could see what they themselves drew and wrote, and they could see how it changed over a period of 5 minutes, and told Joshua and Pesci more about themselves and how they were getting a deeper learning. It's fascinating, and he's got books on the subject. But this particular one, the Modern Day Renaissance Man, he started liking the idea. You can get it on Amazon, by the way, hardback and paperback. I don't think I did it as an ebook because it's got so much graphic interior. Ebooks are hard to deal with graphics. Let me see if I can, like for instance, something like this. Graphics like that highlight a point. So there he is, going on and on and on. And I said, Joshua, I think you've got a book. I think you've got a book. And I think its time is now. This was back last year. I said, I think the time is now for this book. He says, oh, I don't know. Then we got to talking more, and over a period of several months, he finally said, you know what? I woke up during the night. I had these ideas, so I'm going to write the book. I said, okay. So he wrote 30,000 words. And this part of the video is how an editor and what an editor and a publisher can bring to the table to take an idea and help present it to the public who don't know you. So I read some of this stuff, and I called him. I said, Joshua, this is not going to work. This is way too wordy. It is off the mark. It is what you're comfortable with, but it is not what we talked about. It took 6 months for us to just go back and forth and refine down each of these points. So what was maybe 3,000 words now became something would fit on one page. Or what was 5,000 words could now, the salient points could fit on 2 or 3 or 4 pages. It turned out to be very, very good. I sent a copy of it to my grandson. He loved it. And there's been other people who have purchased it and have really liked it a lot. They've purchased it from him personally when he would do book signings and stuff like that. I would have him as a guest on the show, except that he's really hard of hearing. He was an Air Force navigator for a long time, and early in his career, there was a descent that went very fast. They had to, if I remember correctly, they were running from a bad guy. He was up in Labrador. Long story short. And his eardrums, one burst and one was badly affected. And so now as the years have gone on, these hearing issues have gotten a lot worse. So even sitting in person, talking with him is very difficult. There's no way I could do an interview of him on a format such as this, because it would be me mostly screaming, Joshua, what I said was, and him going, what? And then leaning in, me repeating it. And you can see how that just wouldn't work. So I told him I was going to tell y'all about this book. The time is now. This book will help all the things that J.D. Vance was talking about, all the feminazi junk just spiraling down out of control, and look where it's brought us. That people are tired of it. They're tired of it. But how do you become a young man? How do you embrace the fact that you are a man? That you're what God made you to be is a man. How do you embrace that? Well, this book, The Modern Day Renaissance Man, A Spiritual Odyssey by Joshua H. Batchelder. And, I'll put the link to the book on Amazon down in the show notes so you don't have to remember it. But it's something that's short, pithy, clear, and written by a man. Yes, I helped him edit it down, but it's his voice. It's not me telling you. Now, this is not me. This is him writing this book. 94-year-old man. He'll be in this coming April. He's got so much to say to the young men. And he's had conversations with young men at his book signings about this. So, look, get the book. I know that you'll like it. I think you'll see that it's timely, and we'll go from there. So we'll talk to y'all later. Bye.
She treats you right.